Good evening. This is a night rendition of the Nerds of Legend podcast. I'm Brendan. We have Ben, Joel, and Missy, and today we are covering a book review of, I believe, Poison Study?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
By
Question
Maria
mark?
V Snyder.
Much better than
By Maria V Snyder. We're covering the book review of Poison Study. I am going to be asking questions as someone who hasn't read the book. Missy has certainly read the book.
all of us.
We've all read the book.
Oh, all right, so everyone
Except
but me.
you.
So, so
Yeah.
I'll have the most interesting questions because I know very little.
What is
And I
what
think,
is poison?
and I think we're
What
going
are
to
poison be?
we're going to start off with we're just going to dive right in. So if you haven't read the book yet and are planning to, and so you want to avoid all that kind of nonsense, this is going to be a spoiler episode of the book.
Like
So,
from jump. Like
from the jump.
spoiler.
We're not gonna mess around. It doesn't make sense to do it halfway through. So if you're tuning into this, I assume you've read it already. So just fair warning to anyone tuning in right now. So
it'll be our little secret that I
Yeah.
haven't read.
No, you told everybody. We know you didn't.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like my mom. She watched the finale of Mad Men, and it's like, oh, I think I like this show. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then she watched the finale of Breaking Bad and asked me if I could get her season 1. And
Shoot.
What? It's like,
She's like-
Honestly, that sounds like a good. Like, you don't want to invest
Nope.
a lot of time
Hate
into it if you're gonna hate how it ends.
She's like that person that reads the last chapter of the book in order to decide if she's gonna read it or not. Which knowing your mom, it makes
Read the
sense.
book, right?
'Cause-
No, all of those people that named their child Daenerys and then bam.
Khaleesi, yeah.
there's a lot of posts that are like, guys, don't talk crap about characters because they may get better. And if you like a character, just wait.
Yeah.
We're 3 episodes in.
Yeah. So anyway, I think what we should probably start off with is a little brief plot synopsis. Missy, since this was your book choice, would you like to give us a brief plot summary?
Yeah, let's do it. So, Yelena starts off, and pretty early on, she admits that she committed murder, and because
Powering
of it,
off.
she is the next. She's due to be
Powering on. Mic off.
hanged, and so she is on essentially death row in this kind of fantasy land, and she gets the opportunity to either be executed or become the commander's food taster. So there was this hostile takeover of the land, and so everyone wants him dead because he, essentially just took over everything, and so he won. Something is
I don't think everybody wants him dead. I think,
some people want.
yeah, some people want him.
Some,
He's also crazy paranoid.
Basically, it was like this dude took over the entirety of a country, slaughtered the king. It was basically like October Revolution in Russia if it was successful, putting in a dictator in charge.
Yeah, except he's very noble.
Yeah.
All right, finish your synopsis.
no, so she gets the opportunity, or she gets the choice to die or become the food taster, and so this is her. She chooses obviously to become the food taster, and then it follows her kind of learning a little bit about Cydia, which is the country, Ixia, which is their so Cydia banned all magic, and so
I think
Ixia.
it's the other way around. I think Ixia did all magic, and Cydia is the one that
Yep.
likes
Is
the
it?
magic. Yes.
Well.
Cydia likes them. Cydia's okay with magic. Ixia is the one that banned all magic and was in the takeover.
I can
Country
verify.
A, Country B.
Yeah.
So neither here nor there. But so yes, it's following her journey, and there's a little bit of self-discovery. There's a little bit of love. There's a tiny bit of sex, just enough to make Ben nervous.
This one didn't bother me.
Honestly, I forgot all about it until we had it on in the car. I was like,
Right near the end, too, where they're like, "Are they banging?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "No. Oh, wait, yeah."
Yeah, that was really that was the only thing I was like, oh right, they're fucking in the manure pile. What the fuck?
Yeah. They're like, "No, they're in this big dungeon," and he kisses her, she kisses him, and then they're like, "Let's do this." Like, all right. Wasn't she also throwing up from the withdrawals from that poison?
no, that was the day before.
Oh, okay. So she smells like
No,
she's grown up all day.
she was cured by the boning.
Ah, the power of dick. There you go. That'll do it.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like mid '90s straight to VHS action movies that for no reason will have tasteful side boob in between fights, and then back to the main plot. Okay.
That's kind of what happened.
This originally-
Tasteful side boob.
Yes. Well, it was originally published by Harlequin. So, like, if you think about, like, Harlequin, you think romance, you think bodice rippers, you think that. And so you get, like, you have to have a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's
This was
required.
a little bit of sex, too.
Yeah.
This was like somebody just walking by and be like, and that was it. It was like,
Those
It was
basically,
like-
and then they did it.
It was a drive-by poking.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally. It was
It
like,
was like, and then they did it. And then at the end of the book, and then they're like, and then we stayed up all night.
yeah, it was like she was trying to fill out a word count. She's like, you might as well do it. And they did it. Boom.
Interesting.
No,
like-
it's a requirement by Harlequin. You have to have at least one.
Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. Harlequin's all the smut.
No.
So, very quickly, this was... Ben and I were both surprised that this was a very well-designed world. It
Mhm.
was... this is Missy's first pick, though a lot have been attributed to her in
This is
her
her-
honor.
Her first legitimate pick.
Her first legitimate pick. So we trying to draw her into being part of the podcast, and it worked. Brought her a bunch of books that we know she's a fan of, and some were questionable. Ben is a huge fan of A Court of Thorns and Roses.
No, he liked Avatar. He didn't like.
He's a huge fan of both of them.
I didn't like Discovery Witches. Akatar, I was lukewarm on.
Akatar, he loved. Discovery of Witches, rock hard about. He loved it.
We have to have a
Amazing.
chalkboard.
Yeah, all the check marks in the positive for that. But this world had a very clear imagery. It had very clear rules, and I loved the way when they
But
talked
without,
about
like spending 3 years,
what.
like
Oh, I thought you were saying I was rambling on. No.
No.
Yeah, I could, but
no, like the world, like they didn't spend a lot of
Auto
time,
shutdown
like
initiated.
Tolkien, where he just takes a month and a half to get into
Like
it.
you like I get a little bit lost in like over fantasy things where you spend a lot of
Auto
time,
shutdown
like,
cancelled.
it and
Mic on.
jumps in and lets you visualize from
Yeah.
the start.
What I do like is the takeover was by the commander is just Commander. I can never remember his name. Ambrose.
Ambrose.
Commander Ambrose. He is a very honorable man,
Mhm.
and he took over the country by just being like, the nobles suck. I won't suck. You want to try my way? And the way the story sounds, it sounds like he turned the army, and then when the nobility were like, we're going to go the army's like, we're already over here. Fuck yourselves.
Mhm.
And and then he instituted this code of conduct, which is absolute.
Yeah.
And now we're how many years in? 15 years in, or whatever to
Yeah.
this.
You basically
And
an
he's
entire
not
generation into the into basically it's like the entire book is like got there. It's a generation into this like sort of rule of law.
Yeah, and it's each district is parsed out into kind of very Hunger Games, District 1, 2, 3, but is very much like this is what we make, this is what we produce. These are the generals that oversee it, and
Everyone has a uniform. Everyone's assigned a job based off of their skill set.
Right.
What's interesting is I couldn't tell with this book if this was a critique of like an autocratic dictator or if it's like in support of it. It's like very like
Right, because there's moments of like, so it doesn't come out until almost the very end, or well, the middle maybe,
yeah.
that Yelena did murder someone, but it was because he was raping her, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
like, but under the law,
But-
murder is murder.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Doesn't
there
matter
is-
if it's self-defense or otherwise. It's murder. Like you
Yeah.
die. Like, and the punishment for murder is death.
yeah.
It's
that was
yeah. It's a dangerous world to live in.
Mm-hmm.
well, the thing was, it explains at the beginning of the story. What caused this coup was everybody was super corrupt, and so the nobles were paying this assassin Malik, who is like, I'm echoing.
No, you're
So
good.
the nobles are paying this assassin to go kill each other, and one rule for one is different for the others, and so they hated it,
Mhm.
and it became a problem.
Mhm.
I don't know.
No, you sound okay to me.
Well, I'm echoing through you.
Mm.
So it became the rule. What the biggest point that seems to be a selling point for this one and how everybody works is they know where they're at. They know what they're supposed to be doing. The rules are the same from the top to the bottom, and it's meant to be uniform. It's meant to be this society that is, you know where you're at, you know what you're supposed to be doing, from the laws to your job.
Yeah.
But at the end, like, the commander, like, she literally saves him, right? Like, he is in his brain, he's like trapped behind this wall after being drugged, and so he can't come back. And so Yelena, it comes out that she has magic, and so she is able to bring him back, and he signs her execution warrant. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, the law is the law.
He
Yeah.
lost a lot.
Like,
Ooh.
and so
He basically Judge Dreads it. Yeah.
yeah.
Very lawful neutral.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, that was the thing, is the law is the law, and he doesn't change it. Even himself, he's like, I am not above the code either.
Even though he
And-
made her sign a blood oath, and then afterwards, this is still like, I still have to sign for your execution, even though I made you make a blood oath to me.
Well, he's like, oh, I'll give you some grace period, and then Valak like tries
Yeah.
to like make sure
He
that
runs
there's
off and dicks her down right before they leave. No, you're leaving. Let me hurry up and bang you quick.
Please tell me there's not a subplot in the second book where like she's dealing with a pregnancy because Valak dicked her
You're
down.
already in the second book?
No, I'm.
she doesn't. She does eventually get pregnant, but I think it's like in
So wizards,
the
baby.
second. So there's a first trilogy, and then there's a second trilogy.
Mhm.
And so the first trilogy ends in a really good, like, it ends really wrapped up, and
Yeah.
then comes out with a second series.
Auto shutdown initiated.
Mhm.
Auto shutdown cancelled. Mic off.
8:30 at night,
Yeah.
Labor Day. A very specific type of case.
So I was gonna say I've
And I would do it again 1,000,000 times.
I was gonna say that I actually really enjoyed this book. I liked the level of like intrigue that was involved. I liked the level of there's so much world building, but it's not like, so a lot of times when you read one of these fantasy novels where the author's trying, especially like the first one in a series, the author's trying to do all of this like exposition of like how the world's set up and world building, but
Especially if they have like a specific government system in mind.
right. And what
Those are
what they
always-
did with this one is there was never like a whole, there was never a whole thing where they're like, and this is how the world works.
Yeah.
There's everything that you like learned about this world was bits and pieces. You like learn it through a conversation, or you learn it through like an aside, and you just get like a little snippet, and you're like, wait, how does? And you're like, wait, what was that? Like,
It's all
Yeah.
through discovery.
yeah, it's not. It's like all basically like,
It's all organic.
yeah, and that's what I really thought that Maria did a really great job with this book. Was she didn't fall into that trap of like, and here's this chapter where the protagonist explains to the audience how everything works. There's none of that.
She got a lot of it through dialogue.
Right, exactly.
What I really like is she got and in very interesting ways.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the part where she
It was
like,
never the same way.
"Protect myself," and they're like, she's a murderer. Murderers always murder. So what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Where she would try to learn some self-defense, and that one guy was like, nope, fuck that, I'm going to try to kill her. Because, like, she had done something wrong, and in that one, they've all adopted this code. So, like, they knew, like, you do something wrong, you're done.
You're basically like, again, you're in a world where you have this entire generation of young people who've been indoctrinated to this code. Like they go to school, they get told their job basically from like kindergarten.
That's all they learned.
And you only learn about your job, like, and nothing else. And like it's an entire generation of people that have been lived under this like autocratic rule, and it's very interesting.
And it's interesting because then you, even with Valak and the commander, you see these moments of like almost like kindness, like, you know, when Valak lets the farmer who there's a moment where he the next person to be executed is a farmer whose son was he accidentally killed his 3-year-old son. His wife had just passed. He didn't know the son had gotten out in the fields, and when he was in the fields, he killed him. And so because of it, he was put to death. And Valak, you know, has this moment of saying, you know, I understand the code is the code, but like, let's get you a different identity.
There's this other farm that just lost the man of the house, and there's 5 children there, so you gotta go take care of that.
Or the one where the girl was the guy's like, I want the girl whipped because she made me look like a bad math teacher. And the commander was like, oh, well, let's
okay.
It was very interesting.
So there are cases where the code itself isn't even utilitarian for the society. It's the code for the code's sake. In these examples, is proving to not even be beneficial to society. It's just the code enforcing for the code's sake.
Yeah.
Well, I think in these cases, there's some people that are like, the code being universal isn't in the best interest of everybody.
Yeah, it has drawbacks.
And for stagnate, like the point with the young girl who's you know, I'm good at numbers, I'm better than the teacher, and so I showed them how to do this, and they were like, okay, go prove it. Like there's times where you could bend it if it's for stagnate, but if you notice, she wasn't like, I'm good at numbers.
But
He's
in
like,
that case, she didn't.
Off to the blacksmith with you. Like Pepper with the.
It's like, prove it.
He just set her up the fast track to the next step of what she was doing.
So it
Auto shutdown initiated.
And this is one of my least.
Auto shutdown canceled. Mic on.
Series, and this is a spoiler for one of the other.
We already announced spoilers.
No,
so
for
you could
a
spoil
different book.
Everything. Oh well, now you're ruining it.
Does anyone care?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know what book. What is it? Is it Neverwhere?
Nested spoilers.
Is it Neverwhere? Is that what it is?
The commander. So the commander was a twin, and their souls like merged at birth, and so like she ate the twin, and so it was the girl who was born.
Oh, so there's a parasitic.
She had the soul of her brother, and so she always felt like she was meant to be a man because she had the twin souls, right? So she presented herself as a male, and the reason she hates magicians is because she has gone through her whole life saying, I should have been a male, I'm now a male. And so now she's Commander Ambrose as a male, and he thinks magicians will be able to tell his secret. So he hates them and has outlawed magic.
Is that why?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, it literally came out like the last.
So no, I didn't realize that was like why Ambrose didn't like magicians. I thought it was just purely because of the whole thing was like magicians were causing most of the like corruption in Ixia.
There's a lot of story. There's a lot of that was a reason given throughout the book. Then at the end where she's like saving him.
Well, no, it's when Magdan and Brizzell first go. And she like tastes the wine and gets a little drunk and like kind of like passes out and accidentally slips into the commander's head, and she sees him kill the snow cat, which is supposed to be this insurmountable
like nobody's
task.
done it, and she did it.
And she did it, and to her that was proof that she was this male, masculine warrior that she always felt like she was going to be. And that's how
Right.
she just present herself as a male afterwards. Because, and it's not that females don't have power. Like under his command,
It does
they
sound
do.
pretty like you get.
Well, that was the whole thing with the book. That was the other thing is Ambrose implemented equality throughout the ranks. Like it didn't matter what gender you were. Yeah.
So it's not like, but under previous rules that wasn't the case, right?
Right.
So as a woman, she wouldn't have felt confident or competent, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to do this. So she had to present herself as a male. Now, again, one of the books down the road, it talks about like the reasoning why, and you find out that Yelena is, you know what?
Just go. You can't start it and then just wait.
No, you don't tease me like that.
Right.
She's a soul finder.
You just said that part. Oh
No,
wait,
I
no, you
didn't.
didn't
I said it
explain
to
that.
you.
You told that to me. Never mind.
So you see Rayad's ghost following her, the ghost of the guy.
Okay, I was wondering what the hell that was all about.
And that comes out, I think, in the next book that she's a soul finder. So she's this rare kind of, they usually try to kill him off actually because they're
She's
they
a
could be
necromancer.
known- yeah, they could be known from different things, and they're easily corruptible. And so she, like, her goal is to lead souls to the afterlife, right?
Uh-huh.
But she's being haunted by the soul of the man that she killed, but she doesn't know.
Yeah. Huh.
So, how is this the first book in how many sequels?
So there's 2 trilogies, right?
Yeah, I mean they follow the same. So there's 6 books total.
Okay.
She originally wrote it as just the trilogy, and then the other 3 came out. There's also a side series that follows Opal. She comes in a different
Opal?
book.
Now there's a whole different.
But I haven't read those because I didn't. I
Liked how the series ended.
well, I get really attached to like the characters and the relationships, and so
Mhm.
I was attached to Yelena and Valak and
Mhm.
Jenko and Ari and like the whole cast, right? They're
Mhm.
all really good.
Yeah.
Opal was kind of annoying, and she was like a side character, and I wasn't
I did like the way that the relationships in the book felt very organic. Like she had to earn the trust of people. It wasn't
Everybody.
like,
Yeah.
a lot of the books
Auto
that we've
shutdown
read, we have the characters
initiated.
that you just walk in and they're like, I'm this one.
Auto
I have
shutdown
power.
canceled.
And they're like,
Mic
I love
off.
you. You're my favorite.
Yeah.
And like where you say they're all like Mary Sue's, like they just trip and fall into it. Everyone's like, look at how great she is. She did great
she had to
too.
like. That's what I liked about this was like she was a character that she had to like, kind of like bust her ass in
Kidding.
order to like get, like in order to succeed. Like she didn't like get anything handed to her. She like worked for it. Like it was like acknowledged that she was very intelligent or whatever, but she still had to like. She still had to study for it. She still had to like work. She still had to do this or that. Like
It was explained very beginning that she was quick, that she was intelligent, and so she picked things up, and that I think set the stage for her learning curve. If you would have just left it alone and not
Right.
that she was naturally a gifted person, and that Brazil had bothered to educate his orphans, it would have seemed a little bit unbelievable that she just trips out, that she just comes out like, want to be the poison taster? And then she's like a quick study. She reads all the notes, figures it out, and then like is able to figure out that the test was actually a botched test because somebody tried to kill her.
Yeah.
And it would have taken a different turn, but I think establishing the fact that she was a more clever individual at the beginning, and that's what made her stand out to bring her into the arc with Brazil and his abusive son. That would have.
I mean, Brazil wasn't that great either. So
No, but he wasn't. His was a method to the madness, as opposed to like the son.
means to an end sort of thing, as opposed to a.
Well, he turned out to be.
He was just evil. He wasn't like
Reyes.
his son was chaotic evil. Brazil was just evil.
Well, he had that book. His son had that book of like ways to torture simply because, like, every time she did something wrong, like, oh, you didn't call me sir, so I'm gonna whip you till you bleed, that kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't.
And Yelena doesn't defend herself, right?
Right.
She's called a murderer, and she takes it. Like,
Yeah.
again, it's like she's raised in this, but she, like, she very early on, Valley goes, "What happened?" And she goes, "You're not ready to fight, right? Like, you're not ready."
I think it was a very good. Sorry, I interrupted, but I feel like it was a very good representation of like trauma.
Mhm.
Yeah, but in a society that is absolute, like breaking of the rules is absolute. So no matter what the reason is, like
it's like basically everything. Yeah, everyone's in sort of like a military structure. Like everyone has a rank, sort of. So like you don't, there's nothing you can do if your superior is, abusing you. Like there's a big, especially once you commit. Like there's like especially once she commits that ultimate sin of murder, she has no reason, no way to defend herself because murder is murder.
And then that's the thing, is that code being absolute. They don't leave the wiggle room.
Yeah.
You kill somebody, they're not, hey, what happened? Why did you kill? They're just like, you killed this person, you're done.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I wonder if that code, like, and it's not explained, but it was like, I wonder if that code takes into account, like, was it possible for her to report this and be like, hey, this is going on? Like, no.
The end of
right?
Yeah, right.
Right. She has no family. She has advocates, and everything that she has is due to Roselle, right? Like, there's moments where she talks about going to the fire festival and how you saved up your whole allowance. Like, he paid his orphans, right? So on paper, he looked good, right? He was checking those boxes, and they said that the other generals made fun of him because of his bleeding heart.
Yeah.
And so to him it was this facade, but it doesn't matter because there is no, like, who are you to tell when it's your general is the one in charge of your entire.
Yeah, it's like if you're, it's like the governor of your state is like the one taking personal interest in like an entire orphanage.
But at the end of the book, even though he came out and she saved him, and he had Yelena do a blood oath to him, and she freed him from this coup and this plot and that he was drugged and all this other stuff. She's like, by the way, I'm a wizard. He's like, man, you're dead, without missing a beat. So it is implied in that section that if she would have come forward and said, yeah,
auto shutdown initiated.
So that's why I killed him.
Auto shutdown canceled.
Like, murder's murder. So what's done is done. Sorry about that, but you should have told somebody.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I mean. Like, if she would have like came out and said it, like, as opposed to just like taking it into her own hands,
well,
like, what would have been the cut?
Inference kind of shows you that it doesn't seem like there's any wiggle room at all in this, and I think that's one of the problems with this kind of structure, is that an absolute monarchy with an absolute unbreakable code doesn't leave wiggle room for why did you do this, and at no point did anybody say why did you do this. They just said, you killed somebody.
You're a rat.
You're going to be hung, or you're going to potentially be poisoned every day for the rest of your life.
And the first time she really sees kindness is when she's trained to taste these poisons, right? And so they, Commander Ambrose is under the influence of a drug that they call
Criollo.
That's Criollo, but in Sitia it's called Theobrosia. And so it's making his mind more susceptible to mind control, so then the magicians can come in and control. So there's a delegation of magicians, and they all come for the first time in 15 years, and someone poisons the wine, and so Yelena is the one who is catches it, and she gets poisoned. She's delirious. She for 3 days, she's super sick, hallucinating everything. And her friends Ari and Janko are on like watch to make sure that no one tries to get to her.
Or just make sure she doesn't like puke on her own vomit or whatever.
Which, just remember the first time she had to take it to learn what it was, they just left her in a room and she just basically threw up on herself for 3 days.
Yeah.
And so she, like, in this in this state, she says what happened, right? Her torture, her treatment under Rayad. And it was the first moment of kindness where they say something like, if you didn't kill him, we would have, but let it go. And didn't discuss, didn't talk about it. It was the first time that she felt really validated, right? That something, that it wasn't okay, and that what she did might not have been okay either, but like
it was understandable.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we start seeing the breakdown in people's acceptance of the code. Because at the very beginning, it was absolute. And you understand it becomes a system to keep things running, but not like a little prosperous, but for the most part, it's just one foot in front of the other. It's very military thinking, you know.
Well, it's like basically just maintains everything. There's no growth.
Maintains the status quo.
What did you think about Butterfly?
About what?
I accidentally spoiled that for Joel pretty early.
About what?
I guessed it though. I asked you because I said I didn't think it was real.
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. It was basically it's such a common trope. Basically,
really
the reason that the way that they enforce the poison tester is by tricking them into believing they've consumed a poison known as butterfly's dust. That in order to, if they go 2 days without consuming the antidote, they will die a horrible, agonizing death.
They make it sound absolutely like every fluid in your body comes out of every possible organ.
But there is no such poison as butterfly's dust. But what the spy master Valak actually gives the poison tester is this other thing that causes you to have horrible, unending, horrible cramps for a day, basically. What the poison is the actual antidote that causes you have withdrawal syndromes from the antidote, and it gives you horrible stomach pains and cramps that make you think you're going to die.
Yeah.
And they just do this to initiate them, or
no? So it's because you're the poison tester. So why would you be what's to keep the poison tester from not doing their job properly? The fear of death, right?
So you get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So auto shutdown initiated.
And what's even funnier is there's no anything, so they think it's this unique. Only this guy knows it. So you can't run off to a different country. You can't run off to a different person who knows about poisons because there's no record anywhere. So she brings this up. What about butterfly's dust? And they're like, I got nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. And so it makes them feel trapped and honor bound to this person. But what's funny is you do get sick.
Yeah.
You take the antidote for a couple of days, you do get sick. So you're here I go, about to die.
They're in this prison cell next to each other, and the spy master's like, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna die. You're fine." It's
they're holding their hands.
Your experience. Yeah, they're holding each other's hands from either
hands.
side of the prison cell.
Most romantic point of all time.
Right, and they're like, he's like, yeah, you're not gonna die. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, it's literally just you're experiencing withdrawal symptoms. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, but I made up butterfly's dust. The commander doesn't even know.
She didn't hold the grudge very long because I think they banged afterwards.
Well, she understood, you know.
Even
it's been a year of lying to him. A year of lying to him. Be like, here, drink this stuff. Don't worry, it'll keep you from running away.
It's a bit of
Stockholm. You want some van?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's the only thing that doesn't make sense. Is
But they're it's so. It's 100%
follow that last beat. Hey, by the way, I've been poisoning you for a year. He's like, I'm done puking. I'm all over that. Let's do this.
I'm gonna slob that knob.
Right?
it talks about bonds like they
That's a
forged their
massive
bond
lie
in
that
a
he's been
different
doing.
way.
A massive lie. Like, if this story didn't run the way it did, like, it's just so weird. Where they're like, "Are you in love with him?" No, that's weird. He's been poisoning you every single day.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's like once you find out, like, oh, you haven't been administering me an antidote. You've been like actively poisoning me.
right.
Like, it's like, oh, you
like, she's able to forgive that one in less than 24 hours.
you gave up on my.
Is that what it is? Are you saying our relationship is like me poisoning you every day?
You gave up on my like Adderall prescription and started giving me meth instead.
I don't know where you're getting all this energy and your inability to focus. It's like we've secretly switched Joe's Stratera with meth, with crystal meth. Now he thinks he can fly. You know, like there's certain things in the story that like I don't understand.
You just don't like
Akatar in like a
morally
court of
gray.
no in Akatar you could understand how she falls in love with him.
Auto
He's
shutdown
"Look at my big
canceled.
house and all these
Mic
cool
off.
things, you poor bitch, you don't have nothing." And he's like, "Sandwich, penis." And she's like, "I'll take it." But this one, nothing. It makes no sense. There's no logical like breakdown of her falling in love with the guy.
No, I disagree. I disagree on
At no
this.
point, but hold on. At no point does Valak ever stop and do anything that's not creepy or underhanded. Yeah, he saves her a few times, but then he's always like, "I don't want to save." I think.
So like the one thing that's explained is primarily his very first loyalty is completely to the commander. So like even if he's like in love with Yelena or whatever, his loyalty is to the commander. So he's not going to do anything to jeopardize that. And there's only like at a certain point in the book where he realizes that she is not jeopardizing that at all, and and I think there's a discussion about how he was too late to communicate to her. You know.
Well, it comes up in later books where he feels right, like
right.
his loyalties as they become more like serious. He's what.
No, I'm just saying what I saw from this book is like I kind of get it. Like his whole thing is like ultimate loyalty. No, I
never thought I'd agree with Ben, but here I am.
I'm just saying, both of you are just sitting there, be like, "He poisoned her. I get it."
No, I'm saying like
there's no, it's okay.
Well, if you're looking at, I'm not saying it's okay in this.
Poisoning your friends is not a good way to do it.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying in this context of like the world they're living in, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, he didn't start out thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Yeah, he didn't start poisoning her in order to like.
No, that's what I'm saying. I am saying the evolution from her being like, "I'm gonna die." Now I'm the food taster. Now I fell in love with a guy who's poisoning me all the time. 5 seconds after, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I haven't really been poisoning you with what you think I've been poisoning you with."
But
she fell in love with him
anyway.
She fell in love with him before that, though, Joel. Like, there's a point where, like,
it's just massively broken. Is what you're coming up with?
I mean, yes, she's
wildly broken.
Yelena is a hot mess. Like,
is that even a question?
Yeah.
So what we're getting is,
so the whole thing is
Yarick is just taking advantage of brokenness. Yarick, what is his name? Valak, Yarick, whatever. I'm out.
So
I'm back to Old Man's War.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's go back there.
I'm out.
Let's go back to the hot green people banging.
So when did Poison Study? When was this first published?
2005.
2005.
Okay, I was wondering, due to its time period, if there was any relevancy towards things that happened in the novel versus like allegory to real life or anything like that.
Really?
No,
I don't think so.
That's a heavy question.
Sometimes the most intricate fantasy worlds are those that are made not to relate to us lessons from what's going on around us, but those that are completely different from our surroundings.
So I feel like that's a theme that doesn't happen so much in sci-fi, because sci-fi is so much escape. Or sorry, that doesn't happen in fantasy so much as because like fantasy is about that escapism from that. Like you see that in sci-fi where it's like a allegory or callback to what's going on in modern day. You know, it happens in Old Man's War, it happens in Starship Troopers, that sort of thing. But I don't think fantasy really hits on those notes all that often. Maybe someone disagrees with me, but I feel like fantasy is always sort of like different from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very
it's
a moment in time in publishing.
It does say it was meant that it was about this part. It says the commander frowned on religion, saying that this should be separate from the government.
Oh yeah, 2005. Yeah, that was a big thing that was going on. I will say,
also, like,
I actually,
the use of, since Brendan brought this
Auto
up,
shutdown initiated.
the use of Crayola.
Auto shutdown cancelled. Mic
Wasn't
on.
that like really high in our anti-methadone X2? Like that's not methadone, crystal meth. That was like we're still well into the big drug epidemics.
We're still well into the opioid epidemic right now.
Yeah, like people like drugs and everybody. I mean, like there are some ties to modern day.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing, was when they got to Governor Brevel's General Brevel's thing. All of the populace was very docile and like did their jobs and only their jobs, and it was
with 2 festivals. That's it.
Yeah.
The Ice Festival and the Fire Festival.
Yeah, but there's basically what you find out is like this governor has been creating, like mass producing this mind altering substance that makes it you way more docile and controllable.
Which is like a dessert.
Yeah, it was a dessert. It was like a chocolate pastry, basically.
I think peanut butter bars is what I think of them as.
No, it was like coffee.
No, it was chocolate. I thought it was chocolate.
Yeah,
it sounded like a Reese's. I just assumed it was a Reese's peanut butter cup. Just let's be honest here.
That's what I thought of, like a multi-flavored Reese's peanut butter cup. Yes, and then it fixes itself.
Yeah.
This is rough. I'm being honest. After today, it's rough doing it this time of night.
Yeah.
This was a long day.
It's all right.
But, I think it was interesting that I've read a few other stories, and I can't think of them offhand, but where people are kept docile by food. And, I want to say the Time Machine had that with the Morlocks. They were keeping the people on the surface all docile by feeding them really big, like feeding them things that just kept them nice and sluggish. It's a trope.
I'm trying to remember the plot of Time Machine. It's been a while.
It was a H.G. Wells story.
Oh yeah, and I'm aware of it. I've read it. I just was trying to remember the whole plot of it.
But
that's where Joel, Mr. X-Man there. That's where the Morlocks are given their name in the comics are from the Morlocks in the H.G. Wells story.
I think it's interesting the way that they chose to keep the people docile. I don't know if the Criollo in this story was specific to the populace or if it was specific solely to the higher echelons, because it sounded a lot. This specific type was given only to the commander with the intention to eventually give it out to all of the generals and the people in power.
I think the whole point of it was to keep ramping up production until like everybody had it. Like first they're going the general, then they're doing the commander, then the generals, then all the generals' staff, then the people under them, and like they're going to just like spread it down until like all of a sudden like they have the General Bazell and
the whole population.
Magnus or whatever his name is, they have control of the entire population.
Well, so Cydia and Ixia are separate, right?
Mhm.
So they don't have trade routes, they don't have discussions, anything, nothing for 15 years. If you're found in, Ixia with magic, you're executed, right?
Yeah.
So it is very clear distinction.
Mhm.
And so what's happening is that they're bringing Ixian food, whatever. They know that what this is, right? This is used as a controlled substance in their teaching. If they're trying to work with a student who's particularly difficult, they give them this to help lower those shields, right? So this is a very known and controlled substance in Ixia.
Yeah.
But because they're capitalized on that lack of information, right? That dissonance, that they're like, okay, well then we're just gonna ship it in, and we have this plan, and they won't know anything because they don't care to keep what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
Give a shit. Yeah.
And it all, at the end of the day, it's all about Brazel taking over, right?
Yeah.
He's changed as the successor. He's
They've
trying.
basically been working this plan since the entire. So I think the takeover happened further back. I know that the plan that Brazel did was they mentioned at the end of the book as it being a 15-year, they'd been
Auto shutdown initiated.
Conspiracy. I think the actual takeover happened even further back than that.
Yeah. I think it was, what was the guy's name? Marvel, what was his name?
I can get it.
Huh?
No. He's talking about the magician.
Magden came in and he brought the children with magical abilities.
Yep.
And that's what they were using. Modkin?
There's a dumb name.
Yeah, that I was not a fan of a lot of the names in here. Some of them are really stupid.
Well,
This is one of those books that felt like I'm going to make weird names because it's a fantasy book.
Yeah.
Did you audiobook it, Ben?
I did.
So then you have but it's so fascinating because they have these weird names, and then they're like, I'm just Iris is the only one who's Russian, that's the
No, only the Brazel and Riyadh were Russian. Everybody else was normal voice. But
Iris,
the bad guys were like, yes, you betrayed me.
The VAs for the audiobook.
You must die. No, it was all one VA, but she for only for the villain was she both the villain voices were like, why would you betray me? You knew you would die for this crime.
To be fair, Iris
all you needed to do was listen to me, and you would have been fine.
Yeah.
Spoiled again by moose and squirrel. Yeah. Spoiled. Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed the story. The world was it was easy to get into, and you could definitely ride this journey rather comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
And I switched from audiobook to Kindle edition over back and forth, and it held up. Sometimes you get a really terrible book that is saved by a really good voice actor.
Yeah.
And on the same side, you get a really good story ruined by a shitty voice actor. This one, they seem to go really well. And I don't think the voice actor had too much of a impact. I mean, when I would read the story, I would still hear the voices with the same similar inflection, and I wasn't. It led to an easy interpretation of the story.
I felt like them making the two bad guys Russian was in order to try and get because it was sort of if you have these military districts so that are all completely segregated from each other, so they don't intermix, so you would get some linguistic drift. So I was fine with it, but
there is no map like in ACOTAR where it's just the
it's all
chords are
England?
just all over the UK.
There is if you go to the wiki, they actually have a map of Ixia and Satia, but
it's is it also the UK?
no, it's not. It's it's actually the entire. Hold on, I can pull it up.
Yeah, it was a very good story, a very engaging pick. I'll probably continue reading just to see what they're like. There was no sheathing, so thank
Yeah,
God.
I'm actually I might bring this.
No, wait. There was no sheathing. What?
There's the you need to hear this story. So I just pulled up the map if anyone wants to see it on the stream. It was interesting because the entirety of the country. So if you see the northern part, it's divided up into oh crap. It's divided up into like the military districts. So it's like MD1, MD2, MD3, and then like everything south of that is like the other like magician country.
And why is there porn on your
Yeah, there's a lot of porn in your tabs.
That's all
Is that-
YouTube.
Is that Twilight porn that looked like Robert Pattinson?
That's totally what's going on. Even though it's like all comedians that I've been watching.
He's
yeah,
like, I
it's
hate
totally
you
what's
guys.
going on. I hate all of you.
She's so pleased with herself right now.
I was trying to like help people like visualize what's going on with the whole story and support Melissa's choice of book, and she decides to be a bitch about it. No.
Well, Ben, you painted a picture, certainly.
Yeah.
Yes. You're
very diplomatic. Very diplomatic.
well done. Well done. Your thumbnails also painted a picture.
Yeah, that's totally what I was showing was porn. It was, yeah, you could see the visible YouTube logo. That was anyway.
Hey, no shame. Everybody's got their interest, and if yours is discovery of witches, that's your thing.
Vampire.
Vampire
totally,
porn. It's popular.
2005.
2005 was very popular.
It was
That's the
very
real world tie-in right now from this story to 2005.
Yeah. I
Ben's
forget
like,
what we're talking about.
he's never going to do another book one at all. He's going to pretend to get sick each time.
I like how I'm like completely in support of your book pick this time, Missy, and like you still decide to shoot me down.
I am an equal opportunity hater, okay?
All right, fine. Then I will hate on the next thing that you pick mercilessly.
You don't really hate anybody, but you do talk shit across up and down, all age groups. You don't care.
Yeah.
Hate has no place here, but shit talking, it's born here.
I forgot what we were talking before. Melissa derailed the entire conversation.
I am very proud of her. Like
to be
I
fair,
am not.
he joined it right when
Yeah, I mean,
He's literally have tears with the level of mirth. That was pretty amazing. So
let's see.
no, it is very clear, and it does talk about the forest where they in the image you showed before we talked about your porn. They had it showed the parts.
she's
like,
from the forest.
No, she's not.
Is this future book knowledge? Oh, okay, this is. So apparently
That's why
she's a druid.
She's an elf lady. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
She's an acrobat because they live in the trees.
So it's like genetic. That's why she's
That's
such a good acrobat. I hate it.
Yeah.
I feel like that description made the whole arc of her practicing to be an acrobat like kind of.
Look
She was 6. She was stolen when she was 6.
No, but it's like devalues like her whole like arc
Yeah,
a
I was
little
like,
bit.
oh, look at her trying to be an acrobat. That's like looking at
No,
a
it's like,
squirrel and being
yeah.
like, oh, look, they're such great climbers. No, they're born to be great climbers.
Yeah, she was born to be an acrobat.
Oh, that's terrible. That actually makes me dislike her a little bit. But anyways. Hate you. His brother's name is Leaf.
I couldn't hear whatever. Wait, her
His
brother's name is Leaf.
Oh my
So
fault.
they're-
I apologize. You're just really into this.
All right. Well, we're getting up on an hour here, so I think it's about time to close things off.
Yes, Brendan, do you have any questions? Since you've got to take this disjointed journey with 3 apparently confused individuals and one person who's just having the time of her life right now.
I like that they tied in eventual political intrigue to the series. Six is a lot. I guess my question for you would be, how many books in should I attempt to read this series?
I was really happy. Like, so the first trilogy, like, it ended and it was really good, and I felt very happy and tied up where it ended. And then I think, like, I want to say within the last year or two, something came up, and I was like, wait, there's more? And then I looked, and I was like, oh, there's 3 more. Like, and it ended fine. Like, there wasn't, like, I don't think there was a need for the second trilogy. Like, I remember being, like, really happy where it ended. So,
I'm more than willing, after the way this book ended, I'm more than willing to read the next one. But
Okay.
I plan to, but I also know that I have lots of other books that I'm going to have to read courtesy of this podcast. So
I really, honestly, I enjoy this because
kind
it
of like
pushes
the last
me.
Avatar.
It pushes me out upper zone because I'm a very pattern reader. Like, it's like Star
I told
Wars,
you I will not read that book.
You know.
So
If
you didn't know, Brendan, they made me read ACOTAR, and I pronounced how much I hated that first book.
Powering off.
And then they decided that I needed to read the
Powering
second
on.
book
Mic
right
on.
after that. Joel decided I needed to read the second book right after that.
So
And I hated it even more. So
has that puppy been
1
there?
and 2. Wow.
yeah,
how
the
about
puppy's been there the whole time.
Holy shit, you have a dog there? We didn't even bring it into attention.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Killian was on the couch, and then the dudes are over in the workshop building, forging Warhammer armies, and
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Both of our puppies are right here.
it's a veritable monastery of chastity down here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't see
You're
the
like,
table
"Got
in
it."
the back of the
Yeah, so
You can't see the table in the back of the room, but that it's covered in magic cards.
Yeah,
and then you can see Killian.
Hi, baby.
Is that a Yorkie?
No,
Hey.
he's a
Bye,
cairn. He's a cairn terrier like Toto.
Oh.
Okay. Our Yorkie is.
No, Tyler's
You're
a golden
great.
retriever,
Yeah.
and then my dog is a cairn terrier. So my wife was wondering what to name the dog, and I was like, oh, hey, Killian. She's like, oh, it's Irish. It's such, and I love giving dogs human names. What a great idea. And I was just thinking of Killian Murphy. I was like,
Still a human name.
well, yeah, still a human
That
name
is
and everything,
human that you named your
but
dog.
I was just like, Scarecrow, Peaky Blinders, like, there you go. But yeah, okay, I'll give it the first trilogy. I feel like 2 trilogies after a story is well tied up. It's kind of like watching El Camino after Breaking Bad. It's kind of like, yeah, it's more,
Instead of,
but
like Avatar, like watching The Last Airbender, and then why would you need The Legend of Korra?
Yeah.
Like, they were fine.
You don't.
Like, I like the,
Exactly.
I didn't dislike them, and I read them all, and I really enjoyed them, but I didn't think you really needed them.
Yeah.
got you. Okay.
I'm definitely, from what I read, I'm probably going to continue reading this, at least the trilogy. But
I think this is the first of any of the stories that we recommended that Ben is like, I will continue reading.
yeah.
Great success. Great success.
Yeah,
This
success.
Well, because I felt like whenever you picked a book, Joel, you were just trying to punish me for some reason.
Korkowski?
Yeah.
But Ashes of Onyx
Yeah.
was
We
that
thought
was
there was another one.
there wasn't, it's just one.
Yeah.
That was a really good book. That was a really good series. I like that one.
I wasn't as big of a fan of it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hi, Brendan.
sorry.
You're up. What's
You're up. What do
what's
you got?
yours?
Yeah, we
I
decided
will-
Brendan would do the next pick. So what are you gonna throw at us?
I have it
He's
down
like
to
the entirety of the Horus heresy.
Yeah.
that's a lot of illegal zips off the internet. No, I have it down to 3.
Huh?
So
No, we don't get to pick. It's
You guys don't get-
Oh, we
all
did
right,
pick last time.
I made Ben pick the last one.
No, but you made me pick left or right. You didn't
Okay,
get me
okay.
like pick.
Okay. All right. So I will give you 3 prompts, vague descriptions, and then you'll pick the one you like. How's that?
No, that's not how this works. You just tell us.
Pick the book.
And
All right. Well, Joel, I command you to listen and then make a decision.
he's nice.
So the first in a two-part of a comedy sci-fi.
Oh.
That's one option.
Mm-hmm.
The second option is a strangely amazing rendition of cheap paperback D&D paperbacks, like garbage D&D paperbacks. A shockingly good rendition
I'm
of
down
the D&D
for that one.
paperbacks.
That's Joel Rosenberg right there.
That's a one-off. And then the third option is a contemporary, excellent fantasy trilogy.
I like how you use the word excellent in only one of them. I feel like you're trying to lead your group here.
Well, no.
Excellent.
It's just
Objection! We need to witness. No.
it's most well-renowned of the three. It's the most well-known, and it's recent, and it's a trilogy. I liked all three of these very much. But you have comedy sci-fi from I think like the early 90s. You have like a mid-90s. Normally the D&D paperbacks are subpar, but it's a shockingly good one-off D&D paperback, and then a contemporary, recent, excellent fantasy trilogy. Those are your three options.
That's a powerful word. I'm going to go with 3 because you use the word excellent in it. Like, I think it's the only one.
I'm going to go with 1. Ben, tiebreaker.
Auto shutdown initiated.
Ooh. Missy wants the comedy sci-fi.
That's it. We tried that though. Like,
she liked Old Man's War.
Huh?
She liked Old Man's War.
Old Man's War was not comedic though.
Yeah, it was comedic.
When I think comedy sci-fi, I think Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and we tried talking about The Color of Magic, and that is literally trying to talk about an acid trip when you're.
I'm thinking comedy sci-fi. I'm thinking door number 1.
That's a tiebreaker.
All
okay,
right, door number 1.
It's not Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's the second book.
No, it's Desperate Measures by Joe Clifford Faust.
Okay.
I got this book for $1 from the Westmont Library when I was 12.
What were the other two?
So, Desperate Measures was the sci-fi. I've both. The shockingly good D&D book was Escape from Undermountain by Mark Anthony.
Holy shit! That is legit D&D.
Yeah.
It's Forgotten Realms. It's a straight up Forgotten Realms paperback, but it's amazingly good for what it is.
So it's Desperate Measures by Joel Clifford Faust.
Joe Clifford Faust.
Putting it in the chat for anyone listening.
And then the third book was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
You recommended that 3. This is the 3rd time that
I've heard a
been
lot of
recommended
Patrick Rothfuss.
to
I've heard
read
he's
that trilogy.
very, very good.
Is it the King Killer trilogy?
Yeah, King Killer. Yeah.
Everyone. This is the 3rd person who has told me I need.
So the
does that mean we need to change our minds, or we're going to go with this one for now?
Patrick Rothfuss is very good.
So
it means that I could read it.
Like I said, Rothfuss is by far the biggest of the 3. 2 is a diamond in the rough, like surpassing all expectation. 3 is like the big one, and then 1 is comedy sci-fi that I found to be very entertaining. So I mean, I gave you options. You guys can vote amongst yourselves. But
Get it for 99 cents on Kindle.
Jesus Christ!
Or $0 if you have Kindle.
Yeah. I got this for $4. I put it into the little box and got this book and was very entertained. So it's up to you guys. But
that's small enough. I think we could read both books by the next.
Yeah. So book 1 is Desperate Measures. The pair are called Angel's Luck. I believe that's the name of his ship.
I don't know. Look at that. Should we do both?
It's 245. It's 245 pages for the first book, and then second one is Precious Cargo, and that's a little longer. It's like 295.
Should we do both?
I mean, if you guys can find them, that's both books. Is that?
What do you guys think? Should we do both?
1.
All right, we'll do the 1. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna wrap up our little meeting today. It's been a little over an hour, and I think we've exhausted the topic of our book, and it's late, so we'll see you again on Wednesday. Don't forget to check out our social medias. Don't forget to like and subscribe or like and follow, or maybe subscribe our lovely Twitch stream here. Check out our podcast. And we will see you again on Wednesday, where we will be doing session 1 of my campaign of the Candlekeep Mysteries.
Very excited for that.
We've got a lot. I think we've got some really good characters here. I've been trying to get as prepped as possible as I think I can, and we're looking forward to see you guys again on Monday. And anyone have anything else to add? Or Wednesday we'll be continuing the campaign.
Yeah, the campaign.
Yeah.
Starting the campaign.
I look forward to seeing everyone on Monday.
Oh, no, did I say Monday? I thought I said Wednesday.
Not Monday, but Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been on vacation for over a week. I don't know what days are anymore, so that's my bad. All right. I've been Ben.
His shirt is awesome with the mustache Mandalorian. I want that. That's awesome.
Is it Daddy Mando or?
I hate you.
This is Daddy Mando. I'm pretty sure a friend of mine bought this for me from Navy Pier. So FYI. So
we just need to get mustaches into all of your shirts because it matches your man cave sign.
That's true. I just need to add shirts to everything I own. And that's all I have. Anyone have anything else?
Nope. Thank you, guys. You guys have a good night. I appreciate you tuning in on this unusual hour for us and bearing with us as we are all... Labor Day has done its work on us.
All right. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you on Wednesday.